All right. Let's get this on the grid view. Cool. All right. Some water. Let's start off with NBA because Kyrie is just giving me too much.
Oh yeah.
Kyrie's giving me too much, man. I can't take it. I can't take it. All right. And 1, 2, 3, 4. And welcome everybody to another glorious episode of the Put On Waivers Podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas, podcasting off the beautiful shores of the Pacific Ocean. It's early out here in Southern California. James Amato is podcasting off the beautiful shores of the Atlantic Ocean. I'm not sure what hat he's wearing today, as we're doing video and doing audio.
Houston Dynamo.
Houston Dynamo.
XFL stuff is $5.
XFL.
And I told you, I like this logo. I like that they kind of went with the Houston Oilers.
I like that.
And it was $5 at the store. I picked it up. I'm a big fan of $5 hats.
Me too. I went a little traditional. I mean, I went there with the SC Trojans jersey, but who knows when we're ever going to see college football again, as far as this, pandemic stuff going on, and people just not being able to even sit next to each other. Gotta be every seat has to be 6 feet away. Which with the Coliseum in Los Angeles, it might this is big enough where you can still probably get 60,000 people in there, and if you separated both of those.
Most of these college stadiums, if you do that,
they're gigantic.
Think of some of the big ones. Penn State holds 100,000 plus. Michigan.
Before you pass away, man, and you have to go to. Have you been to a game at Penn State?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, you haven't. Okay. I've been there before.
I have a good friend who is a Penn State alumni. I haven't been since the LeVar Arrington days, but it was.
It's crazy. It is unbelievable situation. I want to go to Michigan. I want to go to the Big House too. But
I want to go to the Big House, and I want to go to an SEC game, preferably Auburn.
Yes, I wouldn't mind saying any of them would be good, but Auburn would definitely be good as well.
But I heard South Carolina is an amazing football experience for the Gamecocks.
Okay, I gotta see. All those they bleed football down there. I mean, it's the pro sport down there as well. So you got to make sure you check that out. Hopefully get some games back, and it's incredibly exciting to watch SEC football. No question about it. The National Basketball Association. So we thought we were going to get a pro sport back, and there's a certain flat earther who wants to kind of squash that. So the players picked Kyrie Irving to be the player rep here. It used to be Chris Paul, now it's Kyrie Irving, I guess. So Kyrie Irving is not down with playing these games in Orlando, even though he's hurt and not playing anyway. He is talked about the players shouldn't participate for social justice reasons. And I just want to say one thing about that part, and then I know James, you could chime in. And I kind of posted this on Instagram. If you're going to go out there and say this, that's fine. You don't want to play because of that reason. Cool, but there better be fire after those actions. Like, you can't sit in the house and we don't hear from you again, and then this stuff is going on, and you're not at the forefront. You're not trying to help create legislation, bills and stuff like that. You have to be able to be out there and be, you're just out in front and center in this movement, because it's gonna look real crazy if you're not. You're stopping, because people encompass the NBA season as being, the players are not. I'm not worried about the players. There are thousands of people, white, black, and brown, who make their living off of these games being played. It's just the bottom line. And everyday Joe, who is the dishwasher, who is the guy who was the manager at a restaurant, that some of these places are slowly open up. They're wearing masks and they're going to work. you're going to be in the most ideal situation to play the sport. You can't. I mean, they just released a 124-page memo. I mean, I wish my vacations were like that. Like, you.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are. I mean, like you're really pushing it as far as your place and how this works. And I usually back players a lot, but this whole idea with Kyrie Irving is kind of crazy, James.
Yeah, it's really funny because you heard. I have a few friends in Boston area, and they talked a lot about Irving just didn't seem interested in playing anymore, and that was one of the reasons why the Celtics were going to let him walk. They weren't even negotiating with him last year, and that's just a feeling I'm getting. I know you had said it in when I sent you that message, you replied back. It's just like he feels like he doesn't want to play anymore. He wouldn't have been playing anyway. He's already said he wasn't going to play because of the injury. So when the NBA went back, if it goes back, he could have been out there, leading the charge for these movements and organizations. But it just seems like it's an excuse that he's grabbing onto. And, the lower scaled players in the NBA are like talking out against him, like, hey, we understand the movement, but you have your money. We don't. So, and it could ruin the future of the NBA if this takes hold.
And Kyle Kuzma brought up some younger players brought up some really good points, James, about insurance in case they get hurt, which is like those are cool conversations, and you have one of the most progressive commissioners in all sports. He's not even, if players don't decide to come play, James, he's still going to pay them. Like, that's unheard of. Like, that wouldn't happen in any other sport. I know it's guaranteed contract, but most leagues would try to sue you for not showing up if you're under contract and healthy and you're not able to go. They're still going to pay you. And the guy he's willing to work with players. They're willing to do social justice and help with that reform. They LeBron James can walk and chew gum. Like, I mean, so many other players can walk and chew gum. I don't think it takes away from the movement at all. It actually gives you more of a platform. And I like what Avery Bradley said. Avery Bradley said, "Hey, you know what? These corporate sponsors, let's see how they react to this. Because, okay, fine, you're gonna have your sport back. You're gonna have the ability to advertise, but we want to see." We want to see actions behind it. Like, what are going to be your actions? That's how I see the forum being. Like, hey, they need the sponsorship opportunities that the NBA provides. They want to reach those young people and that demographic. So, what are you going to do to promote social change and social reform with these big corporations? And that's how I feel like you can make a mark here, James.
Yeah, definitely. And, when you just look at everything around it, like it's great to get advertising out during these games. People are going to watch these games. They are. Even the casual fan who may not watch the regular season and focus on the playoffs will watch these games, that they're going to play before the tournaments. But it just what he said makes no sense to me. The rallying cry that he's going for just makes no sense. And you just have to feed into those rumors that he just does not want to play professional basketball anymore. That he's done, and he's definitely an individual with a personality, let's say. He's definitely out there, but this is Kyrie being Kyrie is not the same as Manny being Manny. Manny being Manny was fun. And a lot of players being themselves is fun, but for some reason Kyrie being Kyrie, it can sometimes be a little disturbing and a little out there.
Yeah, and it's, to me, it just makes no sense. It seems like to me, once he feels, I think he felt like after he hit that game winning series ending 3-point shot over Steph Curry in Game 7 of the NBA Finals, that was it. Like, he was like, oh, you know what, I did everything I had to do. I did everything I had to do in the league. I got my one ring. I don't have to play with this albatross of LeBron James. Remember that whole thing. Was it Kyrie or was it LeBron? Like, who would you rather have? Who's the more cancerous player? I think we've also done that. I also think that, for the Brooklyn Nets, I should say, not New Jersey Nets. This is the second time around for them getting two veteran players. I remember when they got Kidd, and not Kidd, not Jason Kidd. I'm sorry, Garnett and Paul Pierce, and the old Celtics team, and they try to go win it. This is them going out there and getting Kevin Garnett, and it was a weird pairing to me that Kevin Garnett would want to kind of secure his future with Kyrie Irving. I mean, Kyrie Irving must be a hell of a salesman, because I don't know how you can't see the writing on the wall.
Yeah, Durant was. I thought Durant was a good signing.
Oh yeah,
taking the year off, I think he was going to come back. But if Irving's heart is not into it anymore, then I feel bad for Nets fans, because that contract's going to be an albatross for years to come.
No question about it. I mean, this whole thing with Kyrie has just been really a mess. And yes, he can ball, he can play, but I mean, does he really want to? And I think that's the question we're gonna continue to ask ourselves. And I usually don't like questioning players like that. People talked about that with Cam Newton. People talk about that with some other certain players. But I think it's, you go to enough places where the whole thing is that you don't really want to play. It kind of might be really the real deal here, where you don't want to play. I mean, I think it's one of the biggest things that you have to really kind of look at here, because I'm not sure if he wants to play basketball anymore. And also this whole thing.
Cleveland was more than willing to trade him. Boston was more than willing to not negotiate with him. So at some point you have to look at the player.
Exactly. No question about it. I mean, it gotta be something going on there. And then the second thing about Kyrie is this whole denial now that he said that he wanted to start his own league. Like, what is that about? Like he wanted the players should quit the NBA and start their own league. No, okay. I mean, that's that.
The XBA. Get Vince McMahon in on this.
It really makes absolutely no sense. The NBA has released that memo. The players have till I think June 24th to respond to that. And listen, they have covered almost every single base in that thing. I mean, if there's a positive test, how to handle that. I think they've really done a good job with that as far as that goes. I didn't go through the entire thing, but
it's just Adam Silver showing he's the best commissioner
by far and away.
It's not even close. In fact, I think it was Trevor Bauer tweeted to Adam Silver asking if he has any free time to run another league.
I think the NFL owners did the same thing. I think the NFL owners did the same thing. Oh man, but I mean, I think this will sort itself out. I mean, I heard Jeff Van Gundy today on Go Look at Wingo, just kind of talking about how like this is just such a different thing and all this other stuff like that, and how difficult it's going to be to coach this season. Isn't this like coaching a college team in a sense at a weekend tournament? Like, I mean, these guys have been in like AAU tournaments where you travel somewhere, you stay together, and then you just play the tournament. It's not really, and some of these teams are not going to be there for the long haul. They're only going to be there for a little bit of time because the teams are going to drop off and be out of the playoffs. So, what are your thoughts about this?
Only two teams are going to be there for 3 months.
Yeah. Seriously, like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I applaud the NBA. I applaud the NBA for jumping right into this and getting this thing done, or getting this thing into it. I don't see the big. It's gonna be weird, no fans, all that stuff like that. But like, you don't see anything like crazy, like crazy about them accomplishing this. James, do you?
No, I don't. And in fact, Silver has already gotten permission that if this is agreed upon, to get the Toronto Raptors out of Canada and into the U.S. sooner rather than later. So they'll actually have an extra week in Orlando before everyone else. So, yeah, if anyone blows this up right now, in this case, you'd have to blame the players. That's who it's going to fall on.
Well,
and in my opinion, from what I'm reading, what I'm seeing, the players want it to happen, and they're just waiting. The majority of the players just waiting to see what LeBron says. And if LeBron wants this to happen, it's going to happen.
Yeah. If these teams, what do you do with these players who don't necessarily want to come?
I mean, Silver's already said it. They don't have to come. They're not going to be fined. They're not going to be suspended. There will be no action taken against them.
How could you have beef with this commissioner? And this process. I'm sorry, I can't even. I just, as two big baseball fans, my goodness, please, could you ever? Is there a silver assistant? You know how David Stern groomed Silver. Is there a guy under him who wants to be a commissioner? Because the other two leagues could definitely use him as far as that goes. Charles Barkley, same thing. It'd be a huge mistake for them not to finish the season. I totally agree. I saw him get interviewed for that. And say that as well. It just makes all the sense in the world. And it could be, and one part of it as well that people are losing the facts on is that, listen, money wise, and let's be real. I mean, you guys are making unreal. The 12th man on the bench is making unreal cash on an NBA team. It's gonna hurt you down the road to not play a season. You got to be smart about it. You're gonna really.
I mean, you're gonna lose advertising. Advertisers aren't gonna want to, invest in a league that the players aren't interested in. So it's there's a lot on the line, and just make sure you make the right decision. I mean, the NBA has such a bright future ahead of them.
Yeah, I mean, they actually have stars that are recognizable. And by one name. You don't got that in baseball.
No.
You don't got that in baseball. Put on Waivers, NBA show here on the Put on Waivers podcast network. It's just I'm trying to look at any other big news in here for the NBA. But like I said, the teams are already set. Everything's already set to go. They're giving enough time here for other stuff. And Florida does have a situation where they did it open early, and just to to give a blend of sports news and regular news is that they are spiking a little bit with COVID cases. But NBA is taking every precaution so far, and they're going to be isolated. I don't see why they can't just go ahead and get this done. It just makes all the sense in the world to get it done.
Yeah, and obviously more tests results in more positives. So, the testing is way up in pretty much in every state. Which
is a good thing. Which is a good thing. People are getting tested. People are people are knowing their status of this thing, so they can get everything headed in the right direction. Makes a lot of sense. Be right back right after this. Cool. Let's roll to MLB.
Okay.
Put on Waivers Podcast MLB show here with James D'Amato and Dwayne Douglas. Are Yankee fans feeling okay now? They got were the Yankees involved in a little scandal here with taping signs and filling signs? Are we still talking about the Astros as if they were the kings of all things, cheating?
I mean, the one thing going for Yankee fans and the Yankees is everything they did was before it was banned. So
yeah,
they're the reason why that rule was put into place. Is the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
So any team that did it
after
the warning came out, those are the teams that are getting. But yeah, we've been talking about this. Everyone cheats.
if
in
you
the sport.
if
So
you ain't cheating
that's why I don't get so upset about the Astros and the Red Sox and
again.
obviously bias the Patriots, but every team cheats, so it's always looking for that advantage. So yeah, you can't you can't be against steroids, but be for cheating. Like cheating is cheating.
Yeah.
I have no problem with the steroid guys getting into the Hall of Fame. I have no problem with the teams cheating for the advantage in getting signals. In both cases, you still have to hit the ball.
That is definitely a skill. I mean, it definitely for some players it would take that warning track power. Will can become home run power. I totally respect that.
Which Bonds, Canseco, and McGuire all
They
had before they started taking.
exactly.
They could put that ball over the fence.
Brady Anderson, maybe not, but
No, when you go from 17 to 52 home runs,
yeah, exactly,
you got a question.
You're not gonna praise the hitting coach on that one and say, "Oh, the hitting coach is the reason why." No, he definitely is he definitely is something else there. How about the Red Sox here, James? Blaming the video guy, the rogue video guy, for
Yeah, that
doing.
seems to be the thing to do in Boston is just blame the
Yeah,
staff. It's the video guy, it's the ball guys in Foxborough.
I, I think the Red Sox called Ernie Adams and he was like, hey, how do we get out of this? Oh, just blame one dude, pay him off, pay him under the table for a year.
Yeah,
He'll
for a
sit.
year. He's not going to get another job, so make sure he has a nice little comfortable package. And
He'll be back with the Red Sox in some capacity, on the DL probably. He's doing something. But I mean that was and it was nothing to do with Cora. Do you think that they really? Do you think they don't? Let's just say that they don't play this year, which is a strong possibility, because you look at the Bleacher Report story, and you mentioned this a lot, and I didn't want to believe it, but I know you mentioned it that 6 to 8 owners don't want to play.
yeah,
They flat don't want to play.
yeah. And I'm pretty sure one set of those owners is in Flushing, New York.
Oh.
They have a $250 million interest due next month on a loan, at which they don't have to pay. I guess they can get out of pay. I guess they can get out of paying for it if they don't play. They can at least delay the payment. So yeah, it just seems like Major League Baseball players, they don't want to. It's either that or they don't want to open the books.
Yeah, they don't want to open the books. They don't want to open the
books. Something's going on in Major League Baseball, and I think at this time you have to fully play the owners, especially with people reaching out and saying, "Hey, we're ready to go. Tell us when and where." That's the big Twitter handle right now. When and where.
The Yankees president is having an emergency meeting trying to get the season played. Obviously, the Yankees have a loaded roster. They went out there and got Garrett Cole. They're like the Red Sox. I'm not sure the Red Sox want to play either. Who knows? They claim broke, and Fenway's been sold out for 100 years. But for the Yankees here, do you think that will move the needle at all in MLB? Will the power of the Yankees say, "Hey, let's get this thing done and let's play this season"?
No, I don't think so, because you're having, it's the haves and the have-nots, and the haves want the season to play. I'm sure the Marlins don't want the season to play. I'm sure the Devil Rays don't want this season. I'm sure there's a lot of teams that don't want it. And, it's not looking good because both sides cannot agree, and the fact that the players keep coming back with wanting to play a lot of games and the owners keep saying 50-50-50 is really concerning to me.
Especially when you're like, if we're sitting here negotiating, and I know what's gonna be a non-starter for you, and you know what's gonna be a non-starter for me, and we keep going back and forth with the same non-starter stuff. Like, I mean, like that just makes it just, what do you have in the conversation for? Like, if we're not gonna meet somewhere in the middle, what's really the point of that,
and
that whole conversation?
All of a sudden we get Dr. Fauci out there saying Major League Baseball should not play any games in October because of the rebound of the COVID-19 come in the fall. So it's it's odd that came out And also, 2 days ago, Major League Baseball announced a $100 billion contract with Turner Sports. So what's, I just don't get it.
I applaud Turner Sports for actually wanting baseball. Because right now, I mean, I can see, I'm telling you, I could definitely see in the next collective bargaining agreement that, or in the next TV contract that ESPN doesn't renew with baseball. Like I could definitely see. I mean, does ESPN doesn't have anything of playoff wise unless it's the 1 game playoff, right? They have the 1 game playoff and that's it.
They pretty much the 1 game playoff. Then everything switches over to Turner. Turner has the next round.
Yeah, so, I mean, I
haven't seen the details of it, but I'm pretty sure they locked up a lot. Going forward, and if Fox doesn't renew, I'm sure Turner will get the World Series.
That would be traumatic to have that sport
not on
free TV,
a major network.
Yes, you cannot lose. I mean, I don't care how much money Turner. This ain't college basketball. Like, I mean, you can't. I mean, this is not. People are. The one thing about college basketball, the one thing about Turner, which might be a little bit better, is I do like the ability to in the NCAA tournament where you can watch multiple. You can watch any game you want to watch. Now with that app, you can watch any game you want to watch. I mean, it would be nice to see that for the playoffs. I'm not sure why we can't do that. For the playoffs, it could be just on the app, be able to watch any game you want because people are on the go, stuff like that. But I mean, to the tech part of it, Turner would be great at because they did.
I mean, they have so many channels to offer, but the problem is Major League Baseball builds into these contracts, especially lately, that a game has to be scheduled 3 hours after the start of another game. So you may get like the 8th and 9th inning overlap, and you have to temporarily go to another channel to watch the team that's starting in the first inning. But I don't think maybe we're going to have to, if we get baseball this year with the expanded playoffs, and apparently they want expanded playoffs next year too. That's one of the caveats in both negotiations. You would have to start games at the same time, so you would need something where you could have the split screen and watching. On a device or through an app to watch both games at the same time. But right now, all the playoffs, baseball just sets it up so that you don't overlap games. And then the worst used to be there was a point in the 90s. I don't remember if you remember this. Like they wouldn't start a game until another game ended, and until after the 9th inning. Which I sat at Yankee Stadium one night for a playoff game, which was supposed to start at 8:20, and it didn't start until like a little after 9 o'clock, I believe.
Yeah, I'm looking at right now the story about Fauci, and it does seem a little odd that it came out today. It seemed like of all time for it to come out. Like a week ago, the commissioner of baseball was guaranteeing, hey, we're 100% going to play. And now we can say he can't say for certain. These guys, that falls
into that 50-game timeline.
Yeah, it does. It does. I mean, and you can also, like I said, you can easily, again, isolate for a championship if you want to do the playoffs anyway. So I mean, I think that's kind of crazy. 6 owners don't want to play this year, and I think we kind of much know what those guys are. Growing up, you and I, you're seeing a lot of stories about, being a kid who, at times I did play baseball with. I was the only black player on the team, but growing up, when you and I were growing up, there were just like, the Blue Jays alone would have multiple stars who are African American on their team, and you're seeing some of the stories that now about some of the players are talking about what it's like to be an African American baseball player, and kind of giving the stories of it. I think this is low hanging fruit for Major League Baseball, because I think that they can knock this out of the park so easily if they wanted to.
Yeah.
To get more African American involvement. It is you market. I mean, like, it is by far of the four major sports, and I'll include hockey in it, the safest sport. And yes, the travel to get to the pros are the hardest, probably the hardest trip, but you actually can make a living on your way to that point as well.
Yeah.
Which you can't do in the other sports, really. So it's really that simple. But the concussion thing. I mean, come on, that's all because of the documentary the PBS did. Like, they don't really, like, they're not lying. They're not worried about, those owners aren't sitting in their yachts. Jerry Jones is worried about concussions right now. Like, I mean, I don't think Robert Kraft is worried about concussions right now. So it's really easy to kind of fix this problem. What are your thoughts about, kind of like the missing piece of baseball here with the lack of African American participation?
Yeah, it was. It's been a concern for a while. It's been talked about, for a few years now, actually, maybe more than a few years. But I think the one thing is also the focus on Dominican players, and how they want to get to the major leagues, and how scouting has, unlike basketball and hockey, baseball is not a worldwide sport where you can find talent around the world. So it's a huge game that's played in the countries closer to us, Cuba, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico. So that's been the focus of the scouting, and you just see the players who are more dedicated to playing baseball. And in those countries, that doesn't mean, it's the same black and white players in the U.S. just aren't as focused on baseball as they were when we were younger. So yeah, it is concerning that the sport is turning away younger African Americans to play.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes. I mean, I watched that. We were watching great YouTube MLB games, great finishes, and I was watching that Joe Carter home run against the Phillies, I believe, and it's just like, it's just so it makes. I'm not sure why this is a difficult subject. It's just, I mean, it's easy. I think it's easy to kind of push that forward. If you're Major League Baseball, as far as that goes, it doesn't make any sense. The 50-game season is not going to be really respected. Your teams are going to have 25 home games. It's probably most likely here. Do you want to even? Question to you, James, is, as much as we love the game, do we want to even, if it's 50 games, do you want to bother?
No, I don't think a 50-game season works.
So it's just I wouldn't. So you wouldn't even. Would you watch?
Probably the playoffs.
Yeah.
I don't know about the regular season. Like like I said last week, an average preseason for baseball, spring training is 27 games. So what are you going to get out of 50 games?
I mean, and it's a reason why. I mean, people might say all the spring training, all that other stuff like that, but it's a reason why that these guys, physically have to go through that. Like, they have to kind of go through that, because it just it gets your body ready, the muscle memory, all that stuff like that. Pitchers, catchers, batters who are getting their timing down. It's an important part of the game. Like, it's important. You can't just ignore. I mean, it's an important part of preparing for to play every day. There's times where people get hurt for just either coming back too early or whatever. But you kind of need that prep time. And I'm not sure if the guys are getting their prep time right now. I'm not sure how long the spring training would be if they're doing the 50-game season.
They're saying 3 weeks of spring training.
Okay.
So that was why everything had to be done at the end of May to get July 4th weekend as opening weekend. So nothing's just lining up right now.
Yeah.
I on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being, we're going to see baseball, I'm at a 1.
Yeah.
Maybe a 1.75.
the crazy thing about it, James, is the fact that, again, the opportunity was staring them right in the face during just a lot of social unrest, a lot of this whole thing with the pandemic. They really had a situation where they could have really solidified themselves and kind of made their way back. It would have meant more money for everybody. This bottom line, it would have meant more money for everybody, and they still couldn't get it done. Do you ever see? You ever
And
Yeah, go ahead.
the owners have been pushing for advertising on jerseys for a long time now. They would have been able to get by with it. They would have been able to push it through.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
I know for some reason the Players Association and some of the older school owners are against it, but this would be that opportunity to make more money with advertising on uniforms.
yeah. I mean, it makes all sense. I mean, they just don't really can't. And like I said, people are just not. You can't assume people are going to come back. You really can't.
No,
You can't.
I mean, right now, like
Can't
I
come
would
back.
not see it would take a lot for me to go back to a Major League Baseball game after. I definitely wouldn't go this year, but even next year, I'd have to really think about investing money and going to a game. And I love going to baseball games.
And I think for me too is like almost like, I mean, especially because they're basically taking away the minor leagues. Like
Yeah.
I was just talking to a friend of mine about who's never been to a minor league game, and I was just like, dude, like it is a blast. Like it really. It's really a fun time to go to. I mean, to go to a minor league baseball game, and they kind of taken that away by closing all these teams, and like they've been shamed by the players in that, because some of the players are paying these salaries for some of these minor league teams, and they're saying, oh, we can't really. They all of a sudden they change their tune about some of these minor league squads because it's embarrassing for them to they have to go through that. So. That's
Minor League Baseball does everything to get you invested in the game.
yes.
I took my daughter a few years ago to a Bridgeport Bluefish game, and they had the players available on the field for you to walk out and talk to them, and they lined up and signed autographs. And I was like, well, one of my daughter's one of her favorite days. She still has the baseball that the player signed for her.
Yeah.
So as she moves on to play lacrosse, but she still has that that memento from that game and talks about it.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think. This is it. I mean, this is it. People are gonna. It's gonna take another. I don't know if baseball has another Sosa McGuire moment in it to come back from. Did you see the documentary?
That was the worst 30 for 30 ever. It was so boring. It was all about Mark McGuire. No, I mean, they spent 10 minutes on the whole steroid issue. And believe it or not, it was not the 98 home run chase that brought me back. It was actually the 95 playoffs that got me back into loving baseball again. And,
Yeah.
That last month of September where teams were fighting for that first wild card.
Yeah.
Was what brought me back into baseball.
Yeah. But now
that everyone's making the playoffs, we may not get that.
Yeah. So it wasn't the last dance for you.
No, it wasn't. I thought I was just bored the whole time. McGuire has no personality.
Absolutely.
No personality was when he was being interviewed with Sammy Sosa, and Sammy Sosa now has no personality. Along with other things he doesn't have anymore. But
yes, he was. Yeah. Got that Michael Jackson thing going on over there.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out that family portrait painting he had hanging behind.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just not a good documentary the way it could have been.
If you could, last question for you on the Put On Waivers MLB show. 30 for 30 says, James, we need you to executive produce a documentary for a baseball documentary. What subject matter would you tackle?
Probably the 72 to 74 Oakland A's. That was a team that was, they fought against the ownership, a bunch of great personalities, a bunch of great players, just to really get their story. I mean, you still have Raleigh Fingers, Reggie's around. I think that would be a very interesting 30 for 30 is focusing on that 3-year run in the 75 season when they started trading players away of what they did.
That'd be interesting. That'd be interesting. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I would do, but that's an interesting story. I do. Um, Kirby Puckett has always been a fascinating individual, in my mind. So I would kind of maybe try to do something with Kirby Puckett.
Kirby Puckett is one of my favorite players.
He really just, I mean, he just did everything. And for a guy who, you might see him and might not think he's an athlete, but I mean, how many times did he go in that Metrodome, up that Metrodome, plexiglass and steal a home run away? I mean, he was just great. He was just.
I told you his rookie season, I saw him throw a ball from the warning track in Yankee Stadium to home plate on the fly, and this was before. The first time after they moved the fences in. So this is the original.
On the line too, right?
On the line, yeah. So when he took the field, like we had not heard of him, and we were kind of laughing at him, and like because of his shape and everything.
Oh yeah,
this guy.
Yeah.
He just made this incredible. Got a couple of hits, and then he just made these incredible defensive plays in that throw, and we're like, holy shit, this guy's gonna be something.
Because he's like beer belly /
he was a football player who
fullback. Yeah, seriously, he was something else. Kirby Puckett would be cool. On the football, we'll be right back. Cool. All right. Back on the On Waivers Podcast, NFL Showtime, and listen. I'm interested. I think the NFL is just kind of sitting back and watching all these teams go. My question to you, James, is the NFL model, right? Guaranteed money, but no guaranteed contracts. Are the other sports at risk here, where they could just say, the owners could just say, hey, we're not gonna play again until we get rid of, guaranteed contracts? Because I think that's part of what's in baseball. That's kind of what has emboldened them in a lot of ways to be who they are, because they have guaranteed contracts. NBA, a guy like John Wall, last 2 years, no games played, $80 million earned, if you will, with no ability to kind of cut him from the roster. You don't have that in the NFL. Thoughts about that concept? Are they these teams, these guys who are not trying to play, or actually the players in baseball are trying to play, but the owners in baseball, do you feel like they would, baseball and basketball, try to get more of the NFL type model, if possible?
If Major League Baseball ownership went for the NFL type of contract structure, and went with a lockout, you would never play baseball again. Major League Baseball, as we know it, would be done, because the Players Association will never give it to that.
Never cave.
No, they won't cave. They never have. They never will. It would take some kind of miracle on the Major League Baseball Players Association to give in. I think if anything, Major League Baseball may be looking for a solid hard cap with less money.
Okay.
For the player, lowering the cap. I mean,
is baseball
the Mets are still paying Bobby Bonilla, on a contract that I think he still has 5 years left on it. Deferred payments is just incredible. With what's going on. NBA is a different story. It is. They just go all over the place, and especially with these contracts, I think the big thing for the NBA owners would be to get rid of those mid-level contracts, overpaying players who may not deserve it.
Yeah.
This all came from the Larry Bird rule. The NBA has always had that hard cap, and there was a time where you thought the Celtics would be able to pay Bird, and he was going to walk away. And David Stern made the great decision with the agreement of the Players Association that, hey, if you have a long-time star, you can go over the cap to pay that player. And it just grew from there.
Yeah. Kaepernick, real quick. I don't want to belabor this point. I think maybe we agree, maybe we don't agree. I'm not sure, but he does not need to be signed. It's not a necessity. It wasn't a necessity back then.
No, because now it comes out as a pity signing.
Yes.
Would I like to see him play again? Yeah, I'd like to see him play again. Do I think he's going to? I still don't think he's going to. I don't think there's any team bold enough to sign him. We just don't have that ownership in the NFL. If Mark Cuban was an NFL owner, Colin Kaepernick would have a job.
When Mark, I mean, it is amazing. It's amazing that they just did not, I mean, they just flat out said we don't want that guy in Major League Baseball. They just did not. They did not want him at all. As far as that goes. And
Bud Selig thing too. But that's going back to the Bud Selig days of keeping him out of Major League Baseball.
Yeah. NJ.com has a list of NFL free agents. So I'm going to go through the top 10 of those guys. And who do you think is the...
Is it 9 running backs?
It's not that many running backs, actually. According to NFL, James, we know running backs don't matter. I don't. They don't matter at all. So I'm gonna go through. Let me go through the. I would jokingly say top 4, but I'll go through the top 5 guys and then see if you think that see which one you think is worth signing. Then they have Jadavion Clowney as number 1, Cam Newton as number 2, Everson Griffin, pass rusher from the Vikings as number 3, Logan Ryan at 4, Larry Warford. I can't never say his last name. Larry Warford, the guard, Pro Bowl guard from the Saints, who got cut as well. Top 5 guys on this list from NJ.com. If you could add one of those 5 guys to your team, and just say you're sitting next to Ernie, you're in that room with Ernie Adams and Bill Belichick, who would you grab?
I would say Clowney. I would add Clowney definitely.
Yeah.
Because the offense isn't going to be there this year, so you got to keep the other teams from scoring as much as possible. If you're the Patriots. I mean, the more I think about it, the more I wouldn't mind seeing Cam Newton play with the Patriots. I think it would be exciting, but I know Belichick has his plan in place with Stidham, so that's the way they're going. But
that's where they're going.
If I had my choice, it would be Clowney.
Okay, makes sense. I'm watching the workouts of because the workout videos I do I like the workout videos by these quarterbacks. So Winston, I also watch Cam Newton as well on Instagram and stuff like that. Is there a chance here? Like, are we just totally sold that 16 games are going to be played by Drew Brees? So I'm not. I'm not. Like, so I'm not saying that a guy like Winston's gonna take his job in training camp. That's not gonna happen. I'm just saying that, like, at least they have that guy. So, like, if he does go down, then you have a really good backup there. I think Winston. Off season has been fine. He's not getting paid a lot of money. This could be a really good moment for him. Even if he just does same thing that he's a better player than, maybe he's been more physical talent than Teddy Bridgewater.
Yes.
So I mean, this is a great opportunity for him, if not with the Saints, but to maybe go on to another team and get another opportunity, right?
Yeah, and I think I don't want to say this the wrong way, but I think if he stays with the Saints and proves himself to be a trooper and not a troublemaker or causing waves, I think a team will go out and sign him.
Yeah, I mean, and they have
Sean Payton's just that respected in the NFL. If Sean Payton gives a team will sign him.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think he's going to get some starts this year.
Yeah, I think he will too, and I think that offense, and with that, watching. I mean, just watching Alvin Kamara be healthy next year is going to help just dramatically. They got all those guys on that offense, and he loves throwing the tight end. They have Cook at tight end as well, who's a dominant player as well. Going around the league, worst to first. Who is the team that could go worst to first in the NFL next year? And am I crazy? Absolutely nuts to think it could be the Fish. All the moves they did in the offseason.
No, I could see that.
The division, maybe
be up there.
Yeah, maybe the Bills are. It's just they can't. Maybe Josh Allen is not who we think he is, or maybe he is who we think he is.
Well, I mean, they could be one of those teams coming off the 500 schedule who had a good season last year, just missing the playoffs, and they get the tougher schedule and they fall back in the pack. I mean, we've seen that so often.
I mean, if you look at those moves out there out there in Miami, look at the head coach and how he just he just garners all that respect and all that he has all that bravado. He is not mince words. He has that same kind of respect and that same kind of stoic look of a Mike Tomlin. The guy could be a really big winner out there, especially I mean, they don't have to, like I said, they don't have to rush with Fitzpatrick. They don't have to rush Tua to play. I saw somewhere where Tua has like the third highest selling jersey right now in the National Football League. He doesn't have to play right now. So
I mean, the problem too is like all these last place teams from last year, like they're really bad. You got the Lions, you got the Giants, the Redskins. I mean, I'm talking teams with 5 wins or less. You have the Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
You have the Bengals.
Yes.
The Chargers had 5 wins.
Yeah.
Last. Could they win that division? I don't know.
Now with Tyrod.
No,
Tyrod. So.
Jaguars had 6 wins though, but I don't see them making a jump on. The teams I'm looking. The Cardinals.
That's the one. That's the Cardinals. The Cardinals and yes, because the Cardinals and the Dolphins were the two teams I'm looking at, and also I'm thinking. I know people want to just automatically think that the Niners are going back. Like I mean, the Niners are one of the most popular teams.
Yeah.
In football, quote unquote, when they're good, the league is good. All that stuff like that. I hate that saying, but people believe it. I think that team is. But if you go back and watch, because I watch a lot of. I got the NFL ticket, so I watch a lot of games, the 4:00 games that are back east. But they're not 4:00 here. But I watched those two teams play. The Niners play in their division, and there's not that much difference between the Niners and the teams in that division. I'm telling you, right? There's not.
But I'm still interested in this whole dynamic of what happens in Seattle with Carroll and wanting to trade the quarterback or having those discussions and see how that plays out.
Starting over. When you got to pay the quarterback, it's very difficult to continue to win and win big. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, the amount of teams that were 6-10 or 7-9 last year is just incredible.
Oh yeah, that's what the league.
Those are the teams you have to watch out for.
Yeah, and I think James is like if you coach a team, it's easy to go from 2 or 4 wins to the 6-10 or the 7-9. It's that next
because you get that last place schedule.
Yep, and it's that next jump where you got to go from 7 wins to 9 or 10 or 11. That's where you really need a lot of help. Let's go here. Next 10 years, Carson Wentz or Dak Prescott.
Dak Prescott.
Prescott.
I didn't even think about that one. I think there's a lot more durability with Prescott.
Is it odd that we like Prescott more than the ownership does?
Yeah. It seems that way.
Like why
a lot of people like Prescott.
Like what really is the issue? And like to me, like you want to sign Elliott for a long-term deal, fine. I think with Amari, like, what was the rush to give him $25 million a year for $200? I mean, Amari to me, Amari was the guy who I would have franchised.
Yeah.
And then you pay the quarterback, and if Amari has another ball out year, then you go ahead and you sign Amari, and you have your little triplets there again. So that was weird. That was weird to me. That was just weird to me. It made a lot of sense.
Yeah. How about Elliott being outed as having COVID? Like he's pissed about that. Like he's where's my HIPAA protection? Because they don't know how that got out. He's gonna have a big lawsuit against someone.
Yeah, man. I mean, what's up with the privacy in that? Like how did that come out?
It's not an injury. It's not an injury.
So he went to get a test, and somebody who administered the test.
Someone who knew the results of the test reached out and told someone, and I'm sure it just doesn't look good. And if it came from the Cowboys, it looks really bad.
Yeah, I mean, that is something that's really horrible that took place because we don't like this whole thing. Like, if a player wants to volunteer that information, go ahead. But let's be honest,
Well,
like
that's where the HIPAA law comes from.
yeah, I don't need to know if he has COVID. Like he needs to know if he has COVID, and if he knows it, then he can go isolate himself. And like, listen, a majority of people when they find it, they isolate themselves, and they can get better they can get rid of it, and that system works. But this idea that he needs to
and injuries are a different thing. Like teams have to report them based on gambling.
Gambling is number one reason why.
And everything.
Let's be honest. Yeah,
and that's across the board for all sports. But especially during if this came out during the regular season, like all of a sudden, like, hey, Ezekiel's not at practice, he's out for the next 2 weeks. Then do you say, hey, well, he's on isolation for COVID? But
if it's during
this just came out.
If it's during the season, yeah. If it's during the season, yeah. So that's crazy. That's absolutely nuts. That was something that I hope whoever reported that, they'll do the contact tracing, if you will, on that one, and they'll make sure they'll find out who did that. Because I'm sure that's easy work right there.
All reports are he's really pissed that it came out.
I don't blame him. I mean, when Von Miller had it, he didn't. It was him letting everybody know he had it. But this is straight up somebody else's business.
Yeah, pretty much every player who's come out and said they had COVID released the information themselves, except for Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah. And he has a right to that. So that is. I hope that was worth it. Whoever did that, I hope it was worth it to you, money wise. So, question for you, James. New stadium in Las Vegas for the Raiders. They're also going to have the Pro Bowl in 2021, the game that nobody wants to see, the Pro Bowl. But I mean, it'll bring fans there to Vegas. The Raiders don't retire jerseys. So if the Raiders were to retire a jersey, and you're a football, you're sports, they like to look at you as a sports historian. You know all those teams. If the Raiders wanted to retire their first jersey, let's just say their first game against the Saints this year, wanted to kind of create a ring of honor, if they would, who would be that jersey that you would retire?
Ken Stabler.
Stabler?
Yeah. It would have to be Stabler, especially if they're playing the Saints, because he also played for the Saints at the tail end of his career. I think Ken Stabler is the embodiment of a Raider. Just the way he lived life on and off.
Yes, I would definitely say.
And how respected he was by his teammates. Ken Stabler is always up there for me as an all-time great player.
Yeah, I mean, that would be interesting. I was gonna go with, I was gonna probably go with Jim Otto just because I could 00.
Otto.
Yeah, Otto. But I mean, that period of time would have been something.
And that's basically a number that's not worn anymore. We've seen other players wear 12 for the Raiders.
But on my other podcast, the Cover 3D Raider podcast, Monster Mash Ken, one of the other hosts, said that you will have that ability to wear that number now if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Then NFL's brought that back. So
they brought it back, but I think that's just one of those numbers for the Raiders. That's retired but not retired.
Yeah, but for any team though, I would love who's going to wear doubles. I mean, I would love to see an offensive lineman wear 00. Right now, it'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think that whole generation of '70s Raiders. I mean, if you look at those teams from the '70s, like the Raiders would have no numbers left. Dave Casper, Blitnikoff.
Yeah.
Oh my God, who's the wide receiver? Who scored a touchdown?
Branch?
The Eagles. Cliff Branch.
Cliff Branch.
Old Man Willie.
Yeah,
those 70s teams could just basically retire every.
The 24.
That's one of those things. The NFL in general, like teams have the Ring of Honors because they have so many players on a team. It's hard to retire numbers.
Yeah. 24 would be a number that if you did retire, it's such a sweet number though. Like if I went in a Raider jersey, like you don't ever want to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Charles Woodson. Yeah. You don't want to ever see that number go away. So that'd be kind of tough here as well.
I think that's like one of those honor numbers.
Yeah.
Like you have to, when the team manager gives out the numbers, I think you have to earn that number, which isn't a bad thing either. I think that would be a way for some teams to go to. Like you have to earn the right to wear this number. It'd almost be nice if you would see players give their permission for players to wear their number.
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
I came up with a Dan Marino, where where they were talking to Marino about Tua, like, maybe Marino should give the honor on. I don't think giving it to a rookie right away, but like if
Mm-hmm.
Tua has like 2 or 3 great years,
And he wants to change it. Yeah.
wants to change it, but then you know how everyone is superstitious, like, well, I'm going to keep one.
Yeah. So this is, if you see, for the folks who are going to watch this on YouTube, James has a collection behind, a sports collection behind him, of course, which is crazy. That the jersey behind you, is that a Bo Jackson jersey from Auburn?
Yeah, it's Bo Jackson Day. I got the Bo Jackson Royals.
There you go. There you go. I thought so. I thought
that's the Bo Jackson Auburn. That's my Patriot Wall of Fame right there.
I did see that. I did see that as well. So I thought it was pretty. I thought it was pretty cool that you had that. So last thing here is, Mike Gundy, the head coach of Oklahoma State. He has the shirt on from the One American Network. I know it very well. It's in San Diego. It's supposed to be like this far right wing thing, and politics and sports are crossing over. Whatever. His players, one of his players, kind of outed him for wearing that shirt, and I kind of repping that network. I guess, quote unquote, they go further they go further right than even Fox News, whatever. But I don't care about. I don't want to go getting left and right, whatever. I would say he made an apology about wearing the shirt and everything like that. But whether you like it or not, doesn't Mike Gundy have a right to have a political view in this country, James? Whether you like it or not,
it depends on what. I think everyone has a right to have their political view. I've actually called out one of my friends today. I'm one of those people who will not delete friends on Facebook or any other format based on religious political views. I like to have open discussions. I like to banter back and forth. I like to not be on the same page with everyone in my life.
Because in that case, you live in a bubble.
Yeah, you live in a bubble, and you only see things one way. I want to hear your point of view. I want to hear everybody say this. Yeah, I mean, it's the whole thing going on now. In the discussion I'm having with the person, was I shared the story about how in certain cities they're really coming down hard on restaurants and bars that are trying to reopen because they walked in. Someone called 211 because there was 11 people in a restaurant as opposed to 10, but then, and these owners are losing their livelihood, but then they're, the same people who were calling 211 on these restaurants are the same people who openly marched in protest, which is their right, so you can't have that double standard. Like, you can't say 10 people in a bar or in a restaurant is wrong, but 30,000 people gathering is fine.
But what if you have one extra person in a restaurant and they're all socially distanced away from each other?
And that's the focus. And these government officials are coming down on these restaurants. And I've had friends lose their livelihood because they're not going to be able to reopen. I've had friends who work in that industry who haven't worked, and it took them, they weren't getting their benefits from day one. And some of them are just getting their benefits. They've gone the last 90 days without really getting paid. And yeah, they're going to get a big lump sum payment, but as restaurants reopen, but they're not getting their shifts back. So it's just one of those.
That's tough. That's tough time.
I think you had every right to wear that shirt. It's not a hate shirt. It's just
you can hate the information. Like, I don't like. I've seen the information that's on that website and on that network. I don't agree with it. I don't think that it's. I don't agree with a lot of it. But like, it's not. It's a little different. Like it's a little different. Like, I seen it. I disagree with it, and I don't watch it. But like, it doesn't mean that when he goes home, he can't go watch it. Because if you think like making him apologize is going to stop him from watching that network when he goes home, that it's not going to.
You can't get up in everyone's business when they're not at work or when they're not I visited that website. It's obviously very slanted.
Yes.
But
a little bit.
They know their audience.
Yeah.
Like every other major news network.
Exactly.
This one, maybe catering too much to, and the bottom line is it's all about selling advertising and making money. and they know
that's all it is. That's
they know
all
what
it
group
is.
they want to bring in, and they know those people spend.
If you understand that news, the organizations are about the advertisement dollar, and then that's what it's about. That's all it's about. So let's keep it in perspective. But I don't think that to me that is. I would not say that is a crazy thing. For there's probably worse things, but I don't think that. I think people are we're in a different time now. So like and I get it. I get it, but like I think that's something that I kind of thought that listen. They're slanted. They are who they are. But I'm not gonna kill them for watching that.
It's one of those things to know about the media, and when it comes down to with advertising. And the best way I can compare this, and I know it's it may seem moot, but if you live near a city with major newspapers that have two sports teams, so like there's 2 baseball teams in New York, there's 2 football teams in New York, there's 2 hockey teams in New York, and you include the Devil, there's 3. So the Daily News, if they advertise with the Yankees and they have advertising all over Yankee Stadium, they don't criticize the Yankees. They criticize the Mets.
Yes.
And the New York Post, if they do all their advertising at Citi Field and they're the official paper of the New York Mets, they do all the Yankee criticizing and write favorable articles on the Mets because that's how they're going to sell papers. It's like if I'm a Met fan, I'm going to pick up the Post because they always speak best about the Mets. Yeah. And it's the same way with all these news networks too. Like we need a news network that can have someone like Hannity on at 10 o'clock and then someone like I can't
Don Lemon
or Kennedy on at 11 o'clock. You're never going to see that again. So.
Yeah, you're not gonna see it. I mean, some of them try to do some of it, but you're not gonna see that. I didn't. Yeah, I used to watch Hannity and Combs, when it was on because you got a couple different views at one point, but that was another time. As far as that goes,
that was actually like one of my favorite radio shows was Kubi and the guy from the Guardian Angels.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Opposite,
opposite. Exactly. Back and forth. Yeah.
That was always a fun listen.
Yeah. And I did used to listen to Imus in the morning just because I wanted to. I didn't mind hearing a different point of view as well. So I'll take it from there. The Five Bloods, haven't seen it yet. I've people around me are saying, Dwayne, you've got me. People are killing me because they're like, Dwayne, you got me to go back and watch all these Spike Lee movies, and you haven't seen the new one. You haven't seen the new one yet.
I haven't watched it either. I just haven't.
Yeah, I had an opportunity to see it, but I want
too nice.
If the weather's, I mean, like I said, I've been busy as heck. So, but I definitely will get a chance to see it. No question. It's not going anywhere. It's on Netflix. It's not gonna fall face of the earth. So you have to worry about there. But listen, shout out to all the people. As far as restaurants go, definitely shout out to them, man. I mean, it's a tough time for them right now. If you could support one, if you could order some takeout or do something to get those guys going, it's cool. And listen, 211. Listen, we jokingly talk about like people call people Karens and stuff like that for doing stuff like that. Like, I mean, let's keep stuff in perspective here. Like, let's people are trying to earn a buck. Honest buck, which is not, like somebody robbing a bank, then make a phone call. You know what I'm saying? All right. On Waivers Podcast, James Amato, Dwayne Douglas. See you next time.
Have a good one.
Take care.